Hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and my brother who is sitting out here in the wings with his popcorn said this is his favorite episode, and so I'm pretty excited. But we're watching Arcane, and 8 is my lucky number. 8 is my lucky number. I have the rule of 8. Now, usually the rule of 8 with my other reactions applies to series that are like 9 to 12. Well, this is a 9-episode series, so I guess it could apply. Usually the rule of 8 is that when you have a 3-act structure, which doesn't really apply to Arcane in the same way, but usually if you have a 3-act structure, episode 8 is usually you have like episodes 1 through 4, build up your characters, episodes 5 through 8, like get ready for the final act, and then from then on it goes into the final. But that's kind of different with Arcane, but still, I'm going to stand by the rule of 8 with this one. That 8 is my lucky number, and usually the 8th episode is a good one. So, you said it was your favorite, so he's over here nodding, I'm pretty excited. I can't believe we only have 2 episodes left, but we are getting a season 2, so that will be exciting. Would you watch season 2 with me? Yeah? Yay! So that'll be exciting. I probably won't do a live stream then, because I usually only do live streams when the series is like done definitively, but since we definitely have a season 2 to look forward to. Is it supposed to come out later this year?
I think so.
Think so?
If you know, please put it in the comments.
You're learning! So yeah, if you do know for sure when season 2 is coming out, please tell me down below in the comments so I can plan ahead for it coming out. But yeah, if it's coming out this year, that would be exciting, because I'm already wanting a season 2 of this series and all the possibilities that come with it. But yeah, last episode was great. I loved last episode. I'll have to show you the thumbnail. There was a moment where I think it was when Vi and them, something was happening, but Huckleberry like jumped up in the screen at the right moment. It's perfect. I'll have to show you the screenshot for it. But last episode was great. I really loved that episode, setting lots of things in motion. And now we only have this episode in the finale. So usually, despite the rule of 8, usually in a series like this, I always think of Game of Thrones, because that series is usually like 10 episodes. The episode before the final is usually when stuff goes down. If things are going to happen, it's going to happen in that penultimate episode, and then the final episode is like your aftermath. Like everything, you get your resolution, everything kind of winds down. If you're going to have a cliffhanger or set up for the next season or the next part, that's when you do it in that last episode. But usually, he's over here smiling like a damn Cheshire cat. And so usually if stuff's going to go down, it's going to go down the penultimate episode, and then your resolution, everything happens in the one that follows. So, all right, but let's do this. I'm ready. Let's do this, shall we? All right. So we're going to start episode 8 of Arcane, Oil and Water. I like the title already. We're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh my gosh. I wanted to like absorb everything happening in this episode, so I was just like, because there's so much happening in this episode. We still have this last one to go. No.
You see why it's my favorite.
Oh my gosh, this episode was great. Oil and water, man. It was. I'm really surprised by the relationships. When the series started, people that I thought were going to be going a certain direction are not going that direction at all. And it's crazy, right? Like, I thought going into this, before we even talk about Mel, because I was like totally off on her. Before we even talk about Mel, I thought going into like the first couple episodes of this that Victor and Jace would be together like this whole series. Like they'd have all this stuff happening to them the entire time. And we still have one more episode. So I don't. My brother just looked away. He's like, no. And so, but going into this, without spoilers for the last episode, going into this, I thought that we introduced Victor and Jace and that they would be side by side throughout most of this series. That we'd see they'd be like Vi and Caitlin, where they'd be like together the most of the time. But they really haven't been. Victor's been off doing his own thing. Jace has been getting involved with Mel, and like Mel's created a monster. Jace is like the monster Mel's created. In a way, not really, but she's fostered it, unbeknown to her, like what would happen.
She wanted him to grow and become this counselor that she could mold, but would still be able to put the hammer down, metaphorically.
Yes.
But then steps her mom, who gives them that lesson that kind of speeds things up above what Mel's little timeline.
Yeah, there's an interesting parallel between Mel and Silco in this, And people have been commenting about it on Patreon, YouTube. The idea that Silco didn't necessarily want Jinx to be like exactly like him, but he was using the same type of advice that he knew worked for him to help her. And she's a totally different person, so it doesn't quite work. And that's kind of like what Mel's done with Jace. She knew what she thought was helpful for her, what she believed was her ideal, and she tried to foster it onto Jace. But Jace isn't exactly like her. And so then, like you said, the mother comes in and just gives him a push, and that's all it takes for him to go a different path than what Mel, I think, anticipated. Because I think Mel was thinking in the chamber that he was going to go the route of diplomacy like she had, and he's not.
And until he saw, like, all the dead enforcers, the gemstone is still with Jinx. Mm-hmm. She was able to kill those guys using Zoan technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's as he already knows, Hextech could do a lot more damage.
Oh, yeah. It's weird to see Jace and Victor starting out as inventors in this series. And Jace has, like, gone into full-blown warrior mode now. And Victor is kind of skirting the line with it in a weird way. But, God, Mel's back. There's been several people comment, they were like, oh, I want to talk about Mel, but not yet. I was like, because I thought that Mel was like, she's not the snake in the grass that I thought she was in the beginning. She's got reasons. Like this whole...
she's a snake, but she's a garden snake.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Her family... She comes from Noxus. That is full-blown military state. Strength is all you need. It doesn't matter what your name is. Doesn't matter what your title is. If somebody shows up, they're able to kick your ass. Guess what? They're more important than you.
I love the symbolism of the throne, and it's clearly somebody's just had their head like just taken off, and it's just the throne, and there's the blood splatter and everything. But it just shows that that's, like you said, the throne being smashed like that, something that you would think they would revere and want to keep, pristine, like in Piltover. No, they just wrecked it, and it was like no big deal. They're like, no, that's just part of it. But I love little Mel here, like her. Now, is this woman her biological mother?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was questioning that for a second. She's like, I'll tell them you're my daughter. And I was like, well, is she the actual biological mom? But she is. Okay. She's interesting. She looked like the Mandalorian standing there in the archway there, illuminated. It was very Mandalorian. So she talks about she was offered a gold coin for every blade she retrieved from the fallen. And it was teaching her about death. It wasn't about collecting the steel. And so Mel, it's interesting, the mom trying to push her own idealism onto Mel, and Mel is not like her mom. She's like, what about diplomacy? What about all of this? Which is not really where I thought Mel's character was going. I'm surprised. She actually is trying to avoid war because she's been in it and knows what it's about, and she doesn't think Jace realizes just how crazy it's going to get.
Well, here's what Mel's mom was trying to point to her. Her brother is just a fox. He's trying to use words. He's trying to use a little bit of trickery. She's saying that you have to be both. You have to know how to use tricks, yet at the same time, you gotta know when to go for the throat and rip it apart.
Mm-hmm. She's saying her brother was weaker, and so when he dies later, she's like, he faced someone and he wasn't strong enough to take them on. Right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, you have to be both. Interesting. And I love that she keeps looking back. And so she's trying to, like, rationalize what to do next. She's like, we're going to import crystal chandeliers. And she's trying to, like, think of all the nuances. But the regent will have her own secret entrance. She should have a kind and fat face. Clever to charm her subjects and pliable to mold so that we can mold her. Perhaps she could be my daughter. Huh. I'm like, Mel does not have a fat face, though. If you can prove you take it, I'll give you the world. Interesting. And so they say they sent her away because she went to Piltover because it was like an easy place for Mel to like grow and kind of, mold herself into...
It would have been more difficult with the way she does things in Noxus.
Right, because she wants to be the more diplomat person, right?
Like her brother, she's more of a fox.
Mm-hmm. And so that's why she went to Piltover, because she was more suited for there.
Yeah, it's basically a chicken coop.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, she plays them all pretty much. But she's just. I think more of her after this episode. I thought she was a lot slimier, and now that you get the motivations and the reasons, I'm like, okay, I get her character more. I get her more. I like that she's trying to warn Jace. She's like, you don't know what you're about to step into if you could do a full-fledged war against the Undercity. Jace finds out with the kids, it's like, if you do this, it's not just these randos that are going to die. There's going to be children and innocent people that'll die too. And
you could also see how the difference between them at the bridge. He threw up around those dead bodies, and she was able to stay calm.
Oh yeah, she's used to it, and that's my thing. Jace is so inexperienced.
He's an inventor. He's not a murderer.
Right, exactly. He's not a soldier. He's not a warrior or murderer. He's not any of those things.
And as Victor put it, they built Hex Tech to improve lives.
Yeah, which is not what it's being used for.
And he ultimately killed the kid with a hammer.
Yes, with the Hex Tech.
Something his father made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm amazed that kid lasted to the end. Like, you think on impact he would have just kicked the bucket then, but he lived long enough, which I didn't know if that was the Hex Tech prolonging his life long enough like it was supposed to do, and it just wasn't enough, and then he just expired. If that was part of it. Because, I mean, normally if you fall from all those stories like that, you die.
I think they just wanted to make it a little bit more emotional, have the kid look right at him as he was dying.
I know. It's just that this series has been realistic enough that I thought that wouldn't apply, but maybe that could be it. And then, so yeah, we get this diplomat coming in.
Not a diplomat.
Well, not diplomat. She's one of the... Is she like the last, like the queen of that place?
No, she's one of the servants that tried to help assassinate.
Oh, how do you know this?
Why else would they have her right there?
Oh, I figured she was just like either the princess of the kingdom or like a emissary or something. How do you know that she helped? How do you know she helped assassinate that person?
We don't know.
You don't know. You're just making that up.
More interesting than her just being a queen.
My camera keeps messing up. Yeah, no, I don't know. I just, the point is that she's from that country, and Mel tries to be the diplomat and like, let's let her go and show mercy. And her mother's like, no, you kill one person, you stop another war. You let her go, she's going to gain thousands and fight us again. So that was the message, showing the mom's ideology versus Mel's. And then, God, she just like slices her throat, like just cuts her head off. She's terrifying. I like that she just shows up in Piltover, finds this guy that looks like Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid, and is like, I just want to go get a spa treatment while I'm with these bougie people that don't know any different. And then poor Jace is like, has to deal. Interesting. So, we get Vi and Caitlin going back to the bridge. I loved this scene because every time it showed, it cut back between Silco and Vi, it looked like they were looking at each other, even though they weren't. They were too far away for that. Silco, I never imagined Silco to be such like a parental figure in this series, but he really is. Like, have
you not been paying attention?
No, I have been, but
he sees her like a daughter.
As a daughter, I know, but like from the start, like just seeing how much he sees her as a daughter. Like in this scene where he's like cradling her in his arms, like he really, really cares for her. And it's sad. And she's like on the brink of death. And she has the dang gemstone. She has with her. So, but yeah, just seeing Silco's so vulnerable in this episode. Like he's just so obsessed with keeping her safe and then taking her to... Does that guy have a name? The doctor? Is that spoilery or does it matter?
Singe.
Okay. Takes him down. I keep calling him the doctor, but like Singe. Taking her down to Singe to get fixed. And interesting. I felt a little sad in this moment because I thought Vi was going to go after her sister, but she obviously can't because there's too much stuff going on.
Too many enforcers.
Oh, yeah. And then, man, Marcus is actually dead. Yep. Marcus is dead. I really wondered if he'd live long enough, but nope. And then, Jace has the reaction. I like that as we go, Mel gets, like, her clothes get darker and darker. Like, she gets the more black attire as the series goes on. And then, Vi and Caitlin sneaking back to the house. I'm surprised the parents were as chill with Vi as they were. The mom especially, when she's like, oh, we'll get you a council with them.
Right, chill.
I mean, aiming a gun at him, yeah, but they let her off pretty easy. Like, they don't demand that Vi's arrested or anything because she's from the Undercity and her daughter was in danger. No, they're totally fine with them hanging out, and they're like, we'll get you an audience. I didn't think it'd be as easy for them to get an audience with the council, but the mom is like, sure. And I wondered if the mom was just like, they're not going to listen to you anyway, but here's a lesson, Caitlin.
I think it's not that. It's just that she knows that the council is being affected by everything that's happening in the Undercity, and it's better for them to have eyes that aren't going to lie to them. They already know Marcus has been lying.
Yeah, well, that was the whole thing that she said, who gave you your reports, and nobody says in the episode, but it's obvious it was Marcus, so all the information they got on Silco wasn't right to begin with, and they figured that out now, but I'm just amazed the parents are like, yeah, okay, you have the sleepover, it's totally fine. It's cool. But yeah, then we cut to Singe with her, and I like that you had the parallel of the tongs taking the butterfly out of Caitlin's leg, and you match that with Singe taking whatever he took with the tongs in that moment too. But I like the parallel of that. It was a nice comparison. And so this guy says he had a daughter. Interesting. Yes. Now, is that a spoiler for next episode?
No.
Okay, because I don't. If it's going to be brought up next episode, I don't want to know.
He had a daughter, and he attempted to use the shimmer to save her.
How do you know this?
It's in his backstory.
Is he a character?
Yes.
Oh! Okay, so, because I wasn't sure if he was a playable character in League of Legends or not.
Yeah, he's known for his picking people up and throwing them behind him into a trail of poison.
Oh, okay, cool.
He eats them.
Oh, he eats them. Okay, cool. So in his backstory, he had a daughter and she died.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the Easter egg, is if you know the League of Legends thing, then you know that he has the daughter.
Yeah.
I do like that he sedates Silco, because at this point Silco is just like...
And he knows that he'll just be in the way and worrying because he had a daughter. He knows what he's going through.
He knows what that parental mindset is like, and he's like, you need to be out of the way for me to do anything with Jinx and any chance of saving her. You need to be out of the picture for a moment. I actually love Savika and Finn's conversation here. I love it. I love that Savika at first takes nothing from him, but he ends up playing her tune. He's like, Silco's got this big attachment to Jinx, and when she's in trouble, he kind of throws everything to the side for her. So, and it's causing the Undercity to kind of go into chaos. So he just needles his way into Savika, and just by the end of it has her in the palm of his hand. And I love that when he has the light. I love that he takes the lighter and he heats up his cup. I was noticing that in the reaction. He was just heating up his cup of liquid. It was so cute. Yeah, Finn's interesting. Savika's grown on me. I didn't think at the beginning of this that she'd be a major character in this either, and she is. It's interesting. But yeah, I like Finn's design. What does his hand say? It says something. I don't know if this hand says play or what it says, but interesting. Yeah, his spine made of jelly. And Savika knows what Silco's weakness is, that it is Jinx. Interesting. So this is going somewhere. This is going to go somewhere in episode 9, I'm sure. They're setting something up with Savika and him, and they're going to probably try to take the Undercity from Silco, or get him from the top of the food chain. Something's going to happen with that. They're a bigger fish than Silco. Interesting. And so then, and Allura is her handmaiden. Does the mom have a name? I'm trying to think if we've had her name. I don't think we have. It's funny, when we first met that girl at the very beginning, the one that gets beheaded, I thought for a second that she was going to be Allura. I thought that she was going to end up being Allura, and they took her prisoner and she went to Piltover with her, but that's not the case at all. But then, yeah. The mom is interesting. She's this, like, wolf mother character that's just, like, all brawn. And has like all the battle scars and everything. The red lips remind me of Ursula from The Little Mermaid, which is funny because then the guy shows up and he's like Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid. So that's what made me think of it. I was like, that's weird, And then we have Ariel, which is Vi. So she's the fish out of water, right? That comes up to Piltover and then goes back. It's a good metaphor. It's a good analogy. My brother's looking at me like just shaking his head, like stop while you're ahead. And so then, yeah. We have the conversation between Vi and Caitlin. I love the like yin and yang that they make, because Vi says that they're oil and water, that they can't get along, and Caitlin's like, but we had a thing, right? And then that whole thing of Vi leaving her, I'm like, come on, no. Like, and then she puts her hood up in the rain. I'm like, you should have had your hood up from the start if it was raining this whole time. You just put a wet hood on your head just for dramatic effect. That's all you did it for. But I love the yin and yang thing. And I love this story about her and Powder becoming monsters and becoming like bigger and bigger monsters. And then eventually Powder would get scared. And I love her imitation of Powder. It's really cute. And it's really on point. And I love this thing that she's basically getting. She says, I'd get carried away and she'd get scared. Which kind of relates back to the first part of the series. Saying I didn't want her to start crying and wake up my parents. So I'd pretend to chase my own monsters away. And I'd say no monster's going to get you when I'm here. So yeah, we're setting up this whole thing with Vi and Jinx. This sister thing where now Vi's down in the Undercity. It's funny because now Vi's down in the Undercity with Jace, and Jinx is up there in Piltover with Caitlyn. So it's like, what we going to do with that? Setting all this stuff up. And then yeah, Jinx's whole thing. This guy messing her up, and we don't exactly get to see what he did to her. We're going to find out next episode, I'm sure, but it doesn't look good. And that moment where Silco wakes up and she's not on the operating table. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. And then her memories, Jinx's has always been associated with like white light and the purples and greens. But in the moment where he has her like under the operating table, like all of a sudden there's more reds involved too, which is interesting. And then yeah, I love Silco being like, I saved her. But that begs the question, like, saving her, did it make her better? Or, you saved her. It's kind of like, what was the name of the creature that he had that he was keeping alive? It was Rio. It was just like, Rio was kept alive, but like Victor noted, like, is keeping it alive the same thing as it living? Because it was just basically like a vegetable in a tube.
And then we get Jedi Master
Heimerdinger, our Yoda equivalent. I felt so bad for Heimerdinger in this because he's seeing just how bad it is. I'm like, did you not suspect it was this bad from the start?
Caitlyn didn't even know.
I guess not. I guess not.
The only ones who would know are the ones that live down there that just happen to go up to Piltover.
That's true. I guess going into this, I thought that maybe since Heimerdinger he was so old that he would have seen how these things could have, developed this gap. And how bad the Undercity could have been. But I guess until you go down there and you actually see it, he didn't realize how bad it had gotten. He just thought he'd go down there and talk with their council and be fine. And that's not the case at all. You can't do that. I love that he makes a little top for her, though. It's really cute. And then, of course, the mom's like, get away from that furry dog man. And his tricks. And then he runs into Echo! And so, we don't see him after this scene, right? This is the last scene we see him. It was just him and Echo. And I'm like, oh, Echo, it's funny you ran into this master inventor. It's funny that you ran into him right now. Imagine that. And
he takes notice of Echo's design.
Yes. And Echo explains why it's the way that it is.
It's similar to how he met Victor, a young man working on a machine.
Oh, and it's another person from the Undercity working on the tech, and there are the parallels to that too. Oh, that's good. That's really good. And Echo and Victor kind of have that similar like attitude about them. They're both trying to do good and using the technology, and Echo doesn't seem particularly Echo doesn't want to cause violence. He's just trying to protect the people that he cares about.
The only thing he wants to do is get rid of the Shimmer.
Yes.
They don't really kill any of them. They use the crystal things, kind of like riot foam, where they just held them off so they could destroy the Shimmer.
So yeah, Echo's pretty non-violent as far as that goes. So him and Victor are pretty similar in terms of that. So yeah, Heimerdinger. That's going to be interesting to see Heimerdinger. What is he going to do with Echo? I know. Yeah, but I'm curious because of people that I would suspect working together, I never imagined Heimerdinger and Echo would be working together. Again, this episode is pitting people together that I didn't think would be possible. And then, so we go back to Mel's mom and her. I love the symbolism of Jace standing there, and there's the big mural in the background of all the spears pointed at him, like she is basically attacking him in this moment. Interesting. And I like Jason's just like, you can get a massage anytime. And she's just This like show of power. She's just like, I don't care if I walk around naked in front of you. You're gonna have to deal with this badass. Mm-hmm. And bless his heart, I like Jace, but he's so inexperienced and young, and he's kind of like a blank slate at the start of this, and he's very reactive. Like, he just reacts to everything in the moment, and I'm like, dude, you just hear it out. And Huckleberry's like having a fit over there. Yeah. And then, yeah, he just gets kind of hot-headed, Jace does, and she's just like, cool your jets, buddy. Let's think about this. And he's like, well, I've slept with your daughter, so this is awkward. My potential mother-in-law is like in front of me coming out of the spa. It's weird. And she's like all scarred up, like, what a badass. Does not even care. Yeah, she wants him to succeed, but if you don't accept certain realities, I fear you'll end up like Jennifer Parr, like slaughtered with your eyes closed. Like some attack's going to come out, and you won't be prepared for it. Which is funny that she talked, and you can tell during the scene, the next scene with the council, that Mel knows something's up. Mel knows that he's talked to her. She's like, have you talked to my mom? She just has that look on her face the entire time, like, you've talked to my mom, haven't you? She just... And
he's holding the wing of the butterfly, like, we tried a more diplomatic solution already, and it resulted in our people dying.
But I would argue they've not really tried. They haven't really tried. It was like Marcus was working with Silco from the start, so that wasn't really a thing. And Grayson and Vander kind of had a thing, but it was secret, so nobody really knew about it except them. So I don't think they've really made a lot of effort, but I think Jace is getting to the point, too, that they're not going to make an effort. This council doesn't care enough to make the effort. That's the problem. I think Mel's right saying, like, we should use war as a last resort because it's going to get ugly if we do it. But it's kind of like you can see part of Jace's argument and Vi's argument that nobody's doing anything, and then it's going to get bad. But then you can see Mel's argument and Caitlin being like, well, we need to try something. We haven't really tried enough. Let's keep making up a plan. Go back to the drawing board. Interesting. Yeah. And then they get the whole thing about the Nation of Zon. They want to be independent. And I like that everybody in the council's like, and I like that Vi doesn't run away. She's like, no, Jinx made the bombs. She doesn't try to hide that it was powder and that she has the gemstone. Okay. And then Jace's first thing is, we gotta go in by force. Like, no, there's no other negotiations. And I like the thing that Vi offers Jace. It's like the good counter argument. Like, let's not just go in and stage a giant war. Let's just shut down the Shimmer. And if we shut down the Shimmer, then that will get the other people in the Undercity to revolt against Silco. Like, it's not that it's non-violent, but it's not a full-scale war. It's just, we're going to go in and do this, and then the chain of command will break apart. And maybe, if Silco's not in charge, there'll be a chance to do something different. Right? It's better than just going in and overthrowing everything. And I like Vi defending
that, and as they said, they can't do anything with the Shimmer. Mm-hmm. So long as those people got Shimmer, they got enhanced monsters that could, that, as we've seen, can dodge bullet fire, and
yep.
And it takes time for the Hex Tech to be built.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you take out the Shimmer, at least it buys you some time to do anything else. Like, you have to take out the Shimmer one way or another, and this would be the way to do it without launching a full-scale war against the Undercity. If it had covertly worked, if that kid hadn't sounded the alarm, it could have worked. But, and then, yeah, old Vi and Caitlin in the rain, doing their dramatic girlfriend breakup, and I'm like, you two better get back together, I'm going to be mad. No. Which I don't know now. Jinx is in there with Caitlin. And Jinx thinks Caitlin's the worst thing in the world. It's like, no, you don't understand. And then, yeah, Vi, I never imagined, too, that Vi and Jace would be on the same wavelength. I never imagined Vi and Jace teaming up. It makes sense now because she's got the gauntlets. And I didn't even, the thing with the gauntlets, I should have seen that early on, that was foreshadowing that Vi would use them. I was like, oh, those gauntlets are cool. Vander's weapon, everything. It all makes sense. Yep. And then when Vi tells her to forget about her, I'm like, you know that's not going to happen. You know Caitlin's not going to forget about you. She tries to throw that big shiny house thing in her face. I'm like, you know that Caitlin cares about you, darn it. And
then we get
Victor. We're going through this episode. Then we get Victor, who everything seems to be working great up until Sky pokes her nose in.
This is more of what happened after.
Yeah.
What it looks like. He's got his clothes on. He's got the energy coursing through him.
So do you think this happens before or after Sky dies?
I think it happens after.
Oh. Okay.
This is like him finally being able to run, but at the same time he's remembering what it cost.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, cool. I thought that it was that he had ran and then decided he wanted to like make it permanent or do more to it. But that's we don't see his leg before. Interesting. I guess it could be that.
We see the energy going through him, but
yeah. And it's like all the way up his leg. Huh.
It could be after. It could, but I like to think this is like what happened.
Okay, so you like to think that the running scene was after this all took place.
Yeah, I mean, why else would he start screaming instead of like being joyous that he could run? Oh,
that's a good point. Yeah, because he's just remembering, what it cost. Yeah, because Sky's like, she's dead. She did. She just evaporated.
And he doesn't have the shimmer anymore, so...
So he's doing the runes, because you were trying to say in the moment what was going on, and I was like, but...
Yeah, he's carving more runes into him.
But he's not using the shimmer as like a painkiller, as a buffer. Yeah, a booster. Mm-hmm.
He probably feels like he's now comfortable enough to where he's been exposed so much that now he can handle the change.
But, oh my gosh, as soon as she like ran in, I was like, girl, maybe you should try talking to him before grabbing onto him while he's holding onto the giant mystery stone. But nope, she just reacts because she likes him. And it just totally dissolved her. Like, it sped up. I'm assuming it just sped up her process, and she just, like, turned to dust because it, like, aged her so fast.
Well, we're about to see again.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, she just... And then poor Victor. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So Victor's doing crazy, freaky things. And then, it's all going through the energy's going through the ports in his leg to the rest of him, and his hand is like that too. His hand's got some of it as well. Oh. Interesting.
And now she's there, over there.
It was not funny in the moment.
And now the hex core's changed.
Oh, it has! It's become more like the
blood cells.
Yes! Oh!
As he said, it's an evolving force.
And it's not... The runes are different. It doesn't have runes anymore. Oh, interesting. Holy crap. Okay. That's interesting. And then, this alliance between him, like, combining the hammer...
It's got runes on it.
Uh-huh. The hammer. Mm-hmm. Him putting it all together. I thought this was Victor coming down at first. Because, again, Jason and Victor haven't talked to each other in, like, 3 episodes. Like, they've not seen each other. And so it's like, hey, guys, things have been going down. And then I love this. I love that Vi is like, have you ever been to that jail? Like, you just throw this thread around that you're going to throw people in jail, but have you ever actually been there and seen where you take people? And he's like, no. And she's like, well, I have. And, like, don't threaten me. Mm-hmm. And then they form this alliance. Like, what the heck? Oh my gosh. So, I love the idea that she has, like, the gauntlets and she remembers Vander with it. And then she's like, oh, I could use these. And it's kind of taking this hex tech that was going to be used to, like, mine and do these things. And in this moment, he agrees that they're going to use it as a weapon. It's like, And I don't know how to feel about that. It's like, well, you said you're making all this stuff to help people, but you're going to let her use them as gauntlets to punch the bejesus out of people. And it is a funny moment where she's like, come on, pretty boy. But at the same time, you're like, ooh, okay. All right, this is what's going down. And then they go to the Shimmer Factory.
Well, technically, they don't need the council's permission. They made him in charge of security.
Right.
And as long as Zoan is not an independent nation, he has the right to call a raid like this.
True.
Without the council knowing.
It's just sad. Like, I'm curious to know what Victor would think if he saw that Jace was using this equipment that they said was going to help to be used as weapons. Because that was the whole thing at the start. They're like, we're not going to use this to harm people. We're going to use it to help people. And then here, he sees what happens when you use it to harm people. Like, he kills that kid. And then when they see all the workers in the factory are children, too. And so, yeah, like you said, if they do anything with the Undercity, it's not just going to be Silco and his goons. It's going to involve these citizens as well that are probably just doing this to survive.
And then that kid presses the button and activates...
The thugs.
Well, they're called the Chem Tanks.
Ah, okay.
Which now we can see why it'd be a very bloody war.
Yeah, because if they're fueled by the Shimmer, then they would be ridiculous to fight against.
And what it looked like, he made it into an aerosol form inside there.
Yeah, there's an air. It's a gas inside that chamber that's fueling it. So if it's got like a vapor format, that's even worse. Like
it doesn't look like it mutates them, but it does give them the enhanced strength and speed.
Yeah, because they're jerky inside the helmet and everything. Like, it's giving them the speed and stuff, but it's not making them into like what Deckard was. It's not making them into the monsters. Yeah. And then I just this fight scene's so freaking cool. Like,
and we get to see how they fight in the game.
Okay, I was wondering, because there was a few moments watching them fight that I was like, it felt like a video game. It felt like a combo move that you just do. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, Vi's whole thing is she punches everything, and every so often the punches do more damage.
Because, yeah, there's a moment where she, like, had multiple rounds at once, and it felt like a combo move, and he, like... It just felt like a video game. And him using the hammer. There was a couple moments in this fight that I was like, okay, is this the League of Legends? This is the action that's happening. You can tell, right?
Yeah.
God, the animation's so good.
It's called the Mercury Hammer. When it shifts, it's the Mercury Cannon.
Okay, so yeah, the bitches love cannons. It's the hammer, and then because it had like a cannon. Like what?
Yeah, it shifts. That's his ultimate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that moment where he like gets it down and it has the ball of light.
He makes a shield.
That felt like an ultimate move. Yep, that's exactly what it felt like in the moment. I was like, okay, all right. But the animation's so good. I love the mix of the CGI and the 2D, with the smoke. I
forget the name, but that's her old right there.
When it goes over the
devastating punch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the little meter goes up to the top.
And then he shifts it to the Mercury Cannon and
yeah, and he just like duck hunt. He's just firing them off, and then he hits the kid. As soon as he hit the kid, I was like, because it's like Jace loses control for just a second, where he's getting too caught up in it, and that's when he hits the kid. And I was like, yep. Yeah, and I love the animation on him, like showing him like calm down.
And then the smoke comes off.
Yes!
Just like Emperor Palpatine, he falls down.
I know, you were trying to make a joke in the moment. I was like, this is an emotional moment.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help but think of Star Wars.
You've been thinking of Star Wars this whole episode. I mean, granted, there's a lot of references. Yeah, I was like, I'm trying, there's a sentimental thing happening, there's a message here, and all you can think about is Palpatine. Palpatine's behind it all. Use the Force, Jace. But, God, yeah, and then that kid dying, this freckled ginger kid. I love the animation on his face, like, he's just so, like, he realizes what he did. It's so well done. Yeah, this episode went in a lot of different directions. I did not anticipate it going. But yeah, this is probably one of my favorites too. 7 and 8 are probably my favorite two so far. Together, like back to back, these two are really, really good. Because they're both like leading one into the other. I like it a lot. And yeah, and they're all kids. They're all kids working here, and it's just like Jace realizing like, what have I gotten myself into? And then you can kind of see him realize Mel's words too, like, do you know what you're going to be getting into if you do this? And then, a little bit creeped out that Jinx has been there the whole time while Caitlyn's been showering. Just chilling out, just writing on the bathroom mirror. That's creepy.
Vi says it. She obsesses.
Yes, and unfortunately she's obsessed with Caitlyn right now. That's the terrifying part. Ugh.
Well, she stole her sister.
I know, and it's like, no, it's not the case, but it's Oof.
Well, that's somewhat the case.
In a different vein. But yeah, so I'm curious to know what Caitlyn's gonna do against Jinx, like how this is gonna go, like no, dang it! My brother is smiling like a damn Cheshire cat. Like just you all don't.
It's my favorite character.
I know. Y'all can't see it, but it's
lays around to be smug.
This moment with the mirror, because you knew something was going to happen. You knew something was going to happen in the mirror.
You could see the lines starting to form.
And I wondered in a moment, I was like, is that a message? And then when it zooms out and you see it's the monkey, it's like, oh, okay. And Caitlyn's like, what the hell?
She saw that image before when there was a bomb.
The explosion, yeah. Okay. Oh my God. And her looking in the mirror, looking back like a horror movie. Yeah, because when she took the gemstone the first time, when Jinx did, she saw that in the tent and everything before it blew up. Yeah. Oh, God. Lots of metaphors lots of references to, like, foxes and wolves and the fox in the hen house, because now Jinx is in, if you assume Caitlyn's house, like the chickens, like her mom and dad, now you've got although I would say Caitlyn's more of a fox and Jinx is more of a wolf. So Jinx is not really... I mean, you could kind of make the comparison to both, I guess, but... Jinx, I'd argue, is more like a wolf, and Caitlyn is more like a fox, but they could be both. No, this episode was really, really good. Really good. We only got one left! It didn't do what I thought it was going to do. I thought there was going to be this giant battle or something, but I thought that it reached like a climax this episode, and it really doesn't. Like, we just have them infiltrating where the Shimmer is, but we don't see exactly what's happened to Jinx. We're going to find that out next episode, I'm sure. We don't know exactly what happened with Singe and Silco. We don't know what's happening with Caitlyn. Vi and Jace are down in the Undercity dealing with all this mess with the Shimmer. Victor, we're not sure what he's doing next. Heimerdinger's with Echo, of all people. And Mel is dealing with her mom. And we've got all this setup, but like I feel like the climax of the series hasn't happened yet. Like that's going to be the next episode. And then maybe it'll have a resolution. Maybe it'll be a cliffhanger. I don't know. Holy cow. Yeah, this episode and the last episode are probably my favorites so far. I like them a lot. Huh. Any other Easter eggs? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, not yet. The big one's going to come in the next one, though.
Dang it! Okay, great. I'm glad. I am glad that I'm not spoiled on it, because it is cool. It is cool. I'm starting to see like a little bit of references to League of Legends, just like a little bit at a time. So that's neat. Especially the battle in this episode. I was like, okay. Because at this point, you're 8 episodes in. The people that have played League of Legends, it's like you can bring on the Easter eggs and the stuff then. They're going to get it, and it still makes sense for the rest of us, story-wise, right? Okay. Well, I am curious to know your thoughts down below, because this episode was great, and I'll have to sort out all of our thoughts. Get ready for my brother's shaking his head. Get ready for the season finale of Arcane. Holy cow! But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction and our long-winded ramblings. But in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, we'll be back next week with the season finale of Arcane. Bye.